are live on ABC's KMET 1490 AM.com, your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. On the telephone line, I welcome in American musician, band leader, producer, really an entertainment icon. We welcome in Tito Puente Jr. Tito, Brian C., honored to have you.
Brian, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure. Tito, I want to begin with the name that millions recognize, Tito Puente, who was your dad and considered the king of Latin music. Give us a quick background on your dad and your dad's epic career.
Sure. Tito Puente, Ernesto Antonio Puente Jr., born in Spanish Harlem, 1923. He was an incredible band leader, composer, arranger, Grammy winner, and he did over 186 albums to his credit, star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, just many, many accolades, a world-class ambassador for Latin music around the world. Passed away on May 31st, 2000, about 21 years ago this year.
Amazing, and his spirit still lives on, thanks to you and his career. Now, I want to talk about your career. From what I read, your story, I understand you grew up in New York City, obviously grew up with the instruments around the house, but your dad says to you, you got to go to school and learn. I can't teach you this. You got to do this on your own. Is that correct?
That's correct. He made me go to school and learn all this stuff. A lot of people would have the assumption that Tito Puente, one of the greatest percussion players of our time, would have taught his son a little bit of that, but he made me go to school, and I appreciate that because it really drives my career in learning how to read and write music, and it's important for the younger generation to learn how to read and write music to keep their careers going forward.
Now, so you caught the bug very early on. You started traveling with your dad, about 15, 16 years old? Can you talk about those moments in your life?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. My mother, I got to thank her. She pushed me to go spend more time with my father because he did about 300 shows a year, Brian.
Wow.
Very, very, advocate for being on the road and performing and touring. You would never believe that, it sounded like a rock star almost, but you would never believe that a Latin musician would be able to perform that many shows in one particular year, but he did. And my mother, thank God for her, as I was a teenager, she said, I want you to spend more time. So during the summertime, I would go and travel with him around the world. It was what an amazing experience. One day maybe I'll write a book about it, but Tito Puente was an ambassador of Latin music, and it was great to see fans around the world, millions of fans, enjoy his music.
Amazing. Now, very interesting what I read about you. In 1988, you were, 17 years old, and you're the drummer of a thrash metal band called Monoxide. Talk about Monoxide and what was the band, what was the band, who was in the band, who were the members. Talk about how you got involved with Monoxide.
I love it, Brian. You did your homework. I was in a death metal band and thrash metal band. I loved that music. I still do till today. It wasn't really my bag. It wasn't my father's bag. He was into more jazz. But I had a rock band. We had a couple of members out of Rockland County, New York, and we traveled around. And I got my feet wet into the whole music industry at that point, playing drums. From high school into college, working on the nightclub circuit around the tri-state area of New York. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that. Monoxide was the name of the group, and a couple of guys, Hector and Jason Velez and Hector Pacheco, and we used to just thrash it out and bang our heads. And my father used to come in into our rehearsals and be like, "Hey, man, you're off beat."
It's amazing. So you were really into heavy metal. You were into the American pop culture music scene, huh?
Yes, I loved it. I still do to this day. I never was into Latin music. As I got older and traveling with Tito Puente, I finally realized the clave rhythms and the conga, the bongo, what really makes people dance and move and shake and enjoy his music was that percussive feel. So that's why I started honing in on my Latin culture and started playing the timbales.
Now, another thing that's fascinating about you, just reading your career is that, your dad was such a larger-than-life figure. But, you wanted to have your own identity, and tell me if I'm wrong. You wanted to have your own identity and stand out on your own, which is what you did. So from my perspective, you became a pioneer in the Latin house music. Would you say that's accurate?
I'm going to thank you. I'm more of a humble guy, but I appreciate that. But I don't know if I was a pioneer. I look up to so many other great Latin house dance music artists and producers, Little Louis Vega, Todd Terry. There were so many. The dance music, freestyle music world of New York in the late 1980s and 90s. But yeah, I did do some Latin music, but notwithstanding, I redid a song called Oye Como Va, a very popular song by my father, who wrote it back in 1963, remade by Mr. Carlos Santana in 71, and then I did a remake in a dance music form, and it ended up charting. So it was kind of like just a reincarnation of a song that really resonated with fans around the world in different generations. But Latin house music was something I really enjoyed doing. I still love the music, and if I opened up any doors for any new artists after me, then by God, please let me know. And I love the fact that I can help the next generation into bringing that music forth.
Yeah, and the reason why I say you're a pioneer in that music is because, I'm about your age, so I grew up, late 80s, early 90s going to the club scene. So, I mean, like the Copacabana in New York City. I mean, the back room at the Copacabana was always packed playing your songs. I mean, your music, the Latin house music that you created, I mean, it was a mixture of house, dance, reggae, mambo, salsa. I mean, I don't think there were many people doing that at the time, late 80s, early 90s.
It was innovative at the time, where you brought in Latin percussion music into dance music. And yes, the Copacabana was really the pinnacle spot where people would go and listen to that brand new sound of music. And it was funny because there was at times where my record would be playing in that back room, and then my father, Tito Puente, would be playing in the front room with the live orchestra. So they would mix it up, and it was great that they could do that opportunity. And it's nice to see that music really resonated even till today. And that was a great era, I can tell you that much. And if you were at the Copa, then you must have had a great time.
Oh, it was a fascinating time, especially with the house music. It was always crowded and packed. It was, even the Palladium. I'm sure you're very aware of the Palladium back in those days as well.
Yes, popular nightclub. Really was the home of the Mambo, where Tito Puente, resided with his group, along with Machito Tito Rodriguez. But the Palladium, of course, turned around and became a dance music hall where they had dance music legends, Madonna, all the Culture Club, all those great performers performed at that club. It was incredible.
Amazing. Now, you mentioned Oye Como Va, and I have a quick sample I want to play, and maybe we could speak about it. Is that okay?
Sure, by all means.
Let's hear Tito Puente Jr., Oye Como Va.
Yeah.
You just heard Tito Puente Jr. and the Latin Rhythm, and with us is the legendary Tito Puente Jr. Tito, that song, I believe, was done 1995. Now, did that song feature India?
Yes, it had the Princess of Salsa, La India, on the record, Cali Alibang, and my late father, Tito Puente, actually performing on that record. Wow, you just mentioned the year. That's 26 years ago. Wow, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And I would consider that song the anthem of Latin songs. I mean, it's a classic, and really, Santana brought that song to life. And I heard you tell a story once about your dad and Santana. He wasn't aware of Santana. Can you share the story with us?
Sure. Well, originally in 1971, Carlos Santana put out a record called Abraxas, and it had a cover version of the Tito Puente classic hit from 1963. My father wrote Oye Cuba on an album called El Rey El Bravo. And, of course, Carlos Santana was very young at the time. He must have been at least 18, 17 years old. And he loved Tito Puente. He was a fan. And my father didn't care for rock music, but Carlos Santana remade the song, put it on his album. It came out on Columbia Records, and it became a worldwide hit around the planet. And then my father, he asked me, because I was more of the younger whippersnapper as in the teenage years. He said, "Who's this guy, Carlos Santana? He redid one of my songs." And everybody gets a little bit confused, and they hear the tune. They think it's Carlos Santana, but Tito Puente was the writer of the song. But my father was very, very happy and proud that Carlos Santana did a rock version of his song because he gets a nice royalty check. So there you go. So my father was very, very grateful to Carlos Santana, and he appreciated that they could bring his music to another generation of younger fans.
Man, now another one of your great works, which I like, is Got Mambo. Great material. You had guests like John Cicada on that album. Can you talk a little bit about Got Mambo?
Yeah, Got Mambo is a fantastic record. I did it with with keeping in mind with the genre of music. Every record that I've ever done for the past 20 years, I've always tributed my father, Tito Puente, in some sort of aspect, and simply because he has over 10,000 compositions, and his legacy was so grand and large that fans have been just continuously have asked for his music. And I'd like to just keep that in perpetuity and keep pushing and promoting his music to the younger generation of mambo dancers and salsa dancers. The record is chock full of some great recording artists. I've worked with Hansel Raul, Kevin Ceballos, John Cicada, and so many different artists on that album. But it was a great opportunity to work with them.
Now, I know, one of your main goals, as we spoke about here, was to bring Latin music to an international level. And, you are an ambassador of that. Do you feel that Latin music has reached that level today, or does more work need to be done?
I think a lot of work should continuously be done, but there's a whole new generation, new genre of music, where it's reggaeton or trap. Latin music in its umbrella has so many different colors to it. Merengue and salsa, guaguancó, reggaeton. There's so many different genres under that one Latin music umbrella. But I can tell you honestly, I travel around the world, Brian, and every time I go to another country on this planet, they love salsa music and they love Tito Puente music. So it's different pockets, different markets. It seems I always find when in America, in the United States, there are different markets, certain markets where salsa music is king and it really resonates. But I think overall, around the planet, people love our rhythms. They love listening to the conga, the bongo, the timbale. It makes them shake. With the likes of Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, they all have opened doors. But Tito Puente was the pioneer of it all. And, of course, Celia, Cruz, they really, kicked the doors down for everybody that's in the Latin music world today. And our genres will always keep growing. There is a lot of work to be done, but it's nice to see the new generation responding to it.
Yeah, you mentioned, your dad, Celia Cruz. Would you put Hector Lavoe there?
Absolutely. Hector Lavoe, part of I'll include Mr. Johnny Pacheco, the Fania All-Stars. These were all pioneers of that sound. I don't ever think it could be replicated, that whole era, but the music that they left to us is just tenfold the best music that I've always promoted and pushed around the world, and I still see people, young and old, still dancing to the sounds of that era.
Now, I want to pick your brain a little bit. If we were going to compare the Mount Rushmore of Team Baleto players, you have your dad one. Would you put Vilato there?
Yes.
Oresto Vilato?
Oresto Vilato, absolutely. I would put him there. I would put Nicky Marrero from the Fania All-Stars as well. I'll also put. I would have to be conscious of the female drummers as well. Miss Sheila E., who happens to be an absolutely phenomenal and queen of Latin percussion. So I would definitely consider her putting her face up there too, with the likes of Tito Puente. You know, good percussion players are good percussion players. It doesn't matter what genre or sex they are, female or male. But Sheila is hands down the best female Latin percussion player alive today.
Yeah, no doubt about it, no question.
Yeah.
So talk about what you're doing now. I saw your social media page. You were in Illinois performing?
Yeah, just I'm actually chatting from you from the airport. I'm in transit, but I'm headed to New York, performing tonight in New York. I was in Illinois, in Springfield yesterday, just starting the touring up, since after a whole year of kind of just trying to record an album, which I finally finished. We wanted to get out there and start promoting it, and I got a brand new record out. It's called The King and I, and Miss Sheila E. and her father, Pete Escovedo, were on the album, and Tony Vega, Jose Beto Canario, and my brother Ronnie Puente. A lot of people don't know I have a brother Ronnie who's a musician as well, and an array of different Latin music stars on the album. It's out on all digital platforms. It's on Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify, and we're going to have some physical CDs made soon, and along with the LP, with some vinyl. And it's great because it's very nostalgic music. It's a very nice, beautiful tribute to Tito Puente. It's all up-tempo music, and the concerts are starting to pick up. And I'm also getting into doing some hot sauces, too. I'm making a hot sauce, like South Tito Puente Jr.'s hot sauce.
Oh, man, we got to promote it here. We got to promote it here to the fans.
Yeah, I'm getting into that. My wife got on my case. She's like, was sitting around during the pandemic. She said, yeah, but we got to do something else. So I said, hey, what makes sense? Having mambo and salsa music with some real salsa. So you got a CD and a hot sauce, you got a party right there.
And so people can go on your website or your social media page and pick up this new album, right?
Yes, correct. You could go to my social media pages. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm doing some TikToks with my kids, too. But, yeah, you can find me. I'm very accessible through my social media pages, and you guys can check out the brand new record. It's on all digital platforms, Amazon, iTunes, Deezer, Tidal, and then, of course, Spotify. Put it in your playlist and start your Mambo party with a great, great album, The King and I. It's out now.
The King of Latin House Music. What's the deal with the docu-series on your dad? It was supposed to be released in 2021?
Yes. Okay, so what happened was we signed a beautiful, beautiful deal with Mr. Edward James Olmos, the actor. He has a production company out in Los Angeles, and we are just finalizing, as a matter of fact, a co-production deal with another company, and we are going to have the trailer out hopefully by the end of the summer. There will be a trailer in a docu-series that should be out by December of this year. Notwithstanding that, we did go through last year, and it was a little tricky to get all footage and stuff like that from different places. However, we got to get testimony from everybody, and we want everybody to enjoy it. It's going to be an 8-part docu-series on the life of Tito Puente, and then in 2022, we're looking to start pre-production on a biopic. Just going through some beautiful, beautiful screenplays I just read, a few of them. And it's so hard to pick because Tito Puente's career was so vast, Brian. You're talking about over 50 years. So we want to pick and cherry-pick the right moments of his life and his legacy, especially when he was younger, growing up in Spanish Harlem, from humble beginnings, being poor, and getting piano lessons for a quarter. And of course, my grandmother, my grandfather, and how they raised Ernest Puente, my father, to be the king of Latin music, and how he became that ambassador and that titan of salsa. So we want to add all that into the docuseries and the movie, and we want to give the best product that we could give as the family is behind this project. And we're looking forward to celebrating his life and his legacy on his 21st anniversary of his passing.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about your dad, besides being a epic player on the timbales, he was also a showman. He was a showman. He knew the business. He knew how to entertain his audience.
Yeah, he was a very powerful showman, a workhorse, if you will, doing 200, 300 shows a year for over 40, 50 years. It was just incredible. Sometimes they do 2 or 3 shows a day. And he had a very great, great, beautiful orchestra as well. They were just impeccable. If you wanted to have the echelon of all Latin musicians, Tito Puente Orchestra was one of those bands that really shined a light on that genre of music. And they were just, they were a force to be reckoned with. I definitely would recommend if anybody doesn't have or has not heard a Tito Puente album, please take a listen to the older stuff. I personally like the stuff from the 1950s and 60s. They just sound so swinging, and the songs were great, and people just love to dance to the music.
And I have a couple of minutes left. I want to get this one in. I mean, you've done so much. I mean, you've also acted. So you are a performer on stage. You record in the studio, producer. What do you enjoy most, Tito? What do you enjoy most doing?
Wow, that's a very good question. Well, at this point, I'm enjoying being on the road again, performing live. I just turned 50, so I feel fantastic. I don't have the white hair yet like my father.
You sound young.
Yeah, I'm still 50 years young. But I personally like getting into a little bit more of the entrepreneurship of, starting and branching out and branding the Tito Puente legacy and his name. We're considering maybe doing a possible restaurant, as we had many years ago. We had a restaurant in the Bronx. But we want to maybe restart that up again. And franchise, maybe some clothing lines, and I'm really into getting into more branding the Tito Puente brand out there as the new generation now. Remember, Brian, anybody who's 20 years old today never got a chance to experience Tito Puente live and see him live. They could only go to a YouTube page to see what it was like, but they never experienced it. So hopefully that can share and bridge the two generations together, the kids that are now 20 today who never got to see Tito Puente. I can bring that music to them by performing live in concerts and show them the brand and experience it a lot more than most people have. We can only get one lifetime to see these incredible icons such as Celia, Cruz, Michael Jackson, Gene Krupa. I mean, these drummers and these musicians are once in a lifetime we see them. And it's just a shame that the kids today didn't get that opportunity. But hopefully that as I push forward my father's name, his brand, his music, everybody can enjoy it into the future and teach their own children.
Well, his legacy lives on, and I know you have a flight to catch. I really appreciate your time, and we'll do it again if you like.
Absolutely, Brian. I had such a blast. I'm glad we got this opportunity to do it and talk about my father's legacy and all the things that we're doing. I love the show. I really appreciate it. Muchas gracias a toda mi gente. I had to throw that in there. And it's just a great, great experience. I'm going to get ready for a concert tonight here in New York. I'll be at Spark Hill. And it's great. It's nice to see people coming back out and seeing live music. So definitely follow me on my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages. You can see all the concert dates I got coming up, and I'll be coming to your town real soon. Thank you again, Brian, for having me on the show.
It was an honor. Take care of yourself, okay?
Okay, boss. We'll talk soon.
Take care, buddy.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Legendary Tito Puente Jr. You can catch him tonight at Talman Pool Club in Spark Hill, New York. Until next week, happy collecting to all.